Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. David Jackson and Ms. Brenda Meehan.
Couldn't help with it in my hand. Came next to a mountain, couldn't help with the edge of my hand. I picked up all the pieces, made an island, but I might even raise up a little sand. 'Cause I'm a voodoo child, Lord knows I'm a voodoo child. I didn't mean to take up all your sweet time. I'll give it right back on one of these days. I didn't mean to take up all your sweet time, sweet girl, one of these days. Yeah. 'Cause I'm a voodoo child, Lord knows I'm a voodoo child. All right, girl. I didn't mean to take up all your sweet time. I'll give it right back one of these days. Didn't mean to take up all your sweet time, little girl. I'll be right back one of these days. 'Cause I'm a voodoo child, Lord knows I'm a voodoo child.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talkin' Tunes. I am your host, Frank Walsh. Thank you for tuning in today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, welcome to 2020. This is my first show, and I could not think of a better guest to start it off with than the two folks who you just listened to. This gentleman on my right here is a very noted singer, a songwriter. He's played with many of the guests whom you have seen on our show. And his accompanist, Brenda, whom you have seen, who is not going to be in the interview portion of the show. She is also well known on the local scene. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you my guest, Mr. David Jackson. David.
Hey, Frank. How
Welcome
you doing?
here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. What a way to kick off the show with you and Brenda.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, now Brenda's a little bit shy, maybe a little camera shy. So, we have you today.
Thank you.
It was a while. It took us a little while to make this happen because we have many mutual friends.
We do.
One, particular one was Eileen Springer, and I think that
Springer.
might have been the time where we first met at her CD release party. Linda Marks, Mark Bishop Evans, so many people that we've known. But for your sake, why don't you take a couple of minutes and look into that little red light up there, right over there, and tell the people at home a little bit about David Jackson.
Well, I grew up in Marshfield, Massachusetts, and I visited the South Shore Folk Music Club. They started in Marshfield at the Trinity Church. And I wasn't playing guitar, but I saw this young kid play John Denver tune, Fly Away. And I got so excited, my mother went to Hanover Mall and bought me a guitar at Woolworths. And I got to see so many different styles at the South Shore Folk Music Club, from fiddler Johnny Cunningham to, what's his name? Guy Van Duzer, Vance Gilbert, and a guy named Martin Carthy. Oh, his acoustic guitar playing made me feel like I'm going to be playing acoustic guitar for the rest of my life. So I just started playing everywhere I could. And I was too shy. So part of the South Shore Folk Music Club was this thing called the Kaylee. It still goes on to this day. In the Kaylee, we sit around in a circle. You can play, you can do a poetry, tell a joke, pass to the next person, or request something of somebody in the group or the whole group at large to do a sing-along. And that really helped me, because that was the beginning of being shy and learning how to be comfortable with people.
Well, you dropped some pretty good names there, whom you have played with and whom you've come up with. And when did you start playing? Did you start playing as a youngster?
Right after I graduated high school. I
Okay.
graduated in '76, and I picked up the guitar somewhere around '77, '78.
Why the guitar versus other instruments that I'm sure you were exposed to by then? Why the guitar?
Because the South Shore Folk Music Club was a lot of acoustic guitars, fiddles, banjos, and the guitar is really something that's in every style of music.
Correct, yeah.
That, and a little bit more than the piano, because the piano, there's no flamenco piano.
Now, some of those names that you mentioned, are pretty big names, especially Vance Gilbert. You probably played with Peter Kalo, too. Do you know Peter
Oh,
Kalo?
Peter, yeah.
Peter Kalo,
Yeah,
phenomenal. And you obviously must have known the late, great Rebecca Paris.
Oh, my buddy, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was working at the music store, it was Boston Music, and then
Yep.
they later turned to Hub Music. But I had met Becky at Rexicana in Marshfield
Yep.
in somebody's attic, and we had a little Christmas show. But I knew her when she was McCluskey.
I remember going, I went to her major reunion because she used to play in Newton.
Yes.
And that little playhouse out in Newton, that's still going on. We're having a little bit of trouble, but I went to her reunion. I think it was a 50-year high school reunion, a 40-year high school reunion out there, and she brought back a lot of those musicians whom you talked about. But as far as that, how would you say that your music evolved? You always started out playing folk.
Well, I started folk, but like I said, when I was starting, I used to follow Rebecca Paris everywhere.
Okay.
So
Well,
I
she's
have
a
a love.
little jazzy too, so you had to
Yes.
play some jazz if you followed Rebecca.
Rebecca and Kenny Hadley, the big
Kenny
band.
Hadley, the drummer, man. Let me ask you this before we go on. There's so many things we could talk about with limited time. Did you go over to Flanagan's
No.
when Kenny Hadley used to run that Sunday jam with there, and anybody who was anybody would show up there, including Rebecca. She would headline a lot.
Not there, but the Casabarini.
Okay, because I would just say that you and I would have met way back when,
Yeah,
without
right.
knowing each other back in Flanagan's. But yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
Becky was singing top 40s,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, there was just three of her. And it taped me, Becky, Gray Fox, and my friend Pat down at Poopsies in Pembroke.
Poopsies, they're still there.
Yeah. she
Great
was-
pizza. If you want good pizza, go to Poopsies.
Exactly, yes. She was dating Digger at the time.
Yep.
And she'd come in the music store and she said, "Oh, I'm going to be opening up for Ray Charles, and I'm going to knock him dead."
Well, Tony Bennett considered her his favorite female vocalist.
Oh, God, yeah. So it's Carmen McRae.
Yeah.
I think when Carmen McRae passed away, they found a CD of Rebecca Paris.
I believe it. I believe it. When she was on, there was nobody better.
I always thought her voice was Carmen McRae and Sarah Vaughan.
Yeah, and she blended those two styles together. But we're here to talk about you.
Yeah, right. But that is,
We have
I
so
get
many
so
things to
passionate.
talk about.
Yeah.
We've had so many mutual connections. So as far as how would you describe how your music has evolved from the time when you first started playing to how you've developed into a pretty consistent style that you have now?
Yeah. Well, I would go camp and sit by the water, and I would try to narrate. What would be the musical narration of what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing? Or I look at a picture and I say, if I was to make a musical caption of this, what would it be?
Nice.
So I would start playing little licks. I started out playing just 3 notes at a time, trying to do everything I could, slide into them, slide away. And then I would listen to fiddle players and hearing all the little nuanced notes that they played. And eventually, somebody would come along and say, hey, I got words for that. Or somebody would have words and I'd say, hey, I got some music for your words.
Cool.
I only wrote one song where I played the music and the words.
Really?
Yeah.
So you would consider yourself more of a guitarist, vocalist, rather than a vocalist guitarist?
Yeah, number one, professional fan. I love to
Professional
see
fan.
people. That's number one. And if I'm anything, it's a lover of the acoustic instrument and acoustic music. But I love jazz acoustically too.
Now, how easy or difficult is it to transition playing jazz to some straight folk, like your John Denver and some of the idols that we'll talk about in a second?
Yeah.
I've talked to some guitarists who just completely shy away from jazz. I think one of the quotes was that I don't play that. There are too many notes.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a traditional jazz song. What I have to do is I have to find. I started out as my first feature at the South Shore Folk Music Club was as an impressionist. So I would try to find singers like Nat King Cole who sing like they talk.
True.
Or folk singers like Richie Havens, rock singers Jimi Hendrix, and I try to find the placement. So I'm picking songs based on what I think I can sing, how I can find the placement to sing it.
Okay, so give me, you did impressions, and you told me that you were on WATD doing some impressions and doing, opening up sports show, et cetera. So give me a little someone who you think that you can impersonate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it goes, so. I have the ex-champion of the world, Smoking Joe Frazier, and a man everyone's talking about, Muhammad Ali. Joe, what about the up-and-coming title fight with Muhammad Ali?
Well, how it's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be like knocking down brick wall. It's gonna be boogie, boogie, boogie.
Well, we've heard from Joe Frazier. Let's bring on Muhammad Ali. Muhammad, people tell me you're not the man you were 5 years ago. Is that true? How could hell? Told me I wasn't the man I was 5 years ago. I asked your wife if she was the man she was 5 years ago, and I'm so pretty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nicely done, nicely done. I have
Thanks.
a good impressionist friend and comedian named Michael Pettit. Does that name ring a bell?
Michael Pettit. Did he live in Humrock?
No, he's down more like down South Coast, down that way, maybe Taunton, Raynham, down that way. He's a good comedian and good impressionist too. But that's good stuff there, man.
Yeah, there was a jazz singer on the Cape, Mercedes Hall. She's also in
Yes.
New York. And she had a best friend that had her own comedy channel, and she had more voices than anybody ever
Really?
knew.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about your little connection with Brenda. Let's give Brenda a little plug here.
Oh,
about
yes.
when you and Brenda play. And,
Yes.
give her a little bit of
Well, my pal
shout out.
Brenda, I met her at Kathleen Healy open mic, one of the strong ladies on the Cape, singer-songwriter too. And I heard that wooden flute of her, and I said, oh, would you learn a Shokin Farewell? That's the tune Ken Burns picked for the Civil War documentary. And she said, oh yeah, I'll learn that tune. And I didn't come back for a little while. Then I came back again. I said, hey, you still know that tune, A Shokin Farewell? And next thing you know it, we learned a bunch of tunes together, and we went down to Sandy and the Twilight Showcase Radio,
Sure.
Sandy and Keith, and she'll be on that show in March, I believe. So we just have this love for like wooden instruments, and we like the American Songbook, and we like just about everything.
How long have you been playing together?
Not too long. It just seems like we're old friends. I always say, you know, if I was a kid, I sort of feel like I met her as a kid, and I go, Mrs. Meehan, can Brenda come out to play? It just seems so natural.
That's funny. Now let's talk about some of your influences. I know you dropped a few names earlier, but
Yeah.
I know that you had mentioned John Denver, and we had talked a little bit before the show. Who would you consider some of your biggest musical influences?
I would say, well, I love Patty Larkin as a
Local, yeah.
performer, and then there's Richie Havens, Mark Knopfler.
Birthday was just the other day.
Oh,
Richie Havens'
yeah?
birthday was just the other day. Might have even been yesterday, the day before. It's pretty recent.
Oh man, yeah, I love those rhythm players. John Doyle, who was the original guitar player for the Irish band Solus.
Don't know him. I'll have to check that out.
Oh, he's just wonderful. And Michael Hedges.
Yes, no Michael
Yes.
Hedges.
Oh, unbelievable. But there's a lot of,
What about some of the classical ones like Django Reinhardt, or when you really roll back the clock to, we were talking a little bit about Roy Clark and Glenn
yeah.
Campbell as a guitarist, and some of these sleeping giants that you knew them for their singing and some of the popular songs.
Yes.
But their guitar skills were very underknown. People didn't really know
right.
them.
Oh, I love the Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved them so much. I remember watching Hee Haw all the time.
Who didn't?
And the Glenn Campbell hour, right before after Pat Paulson.
Oh yeah. Now there's a funny man for you.
Yeah, that's right. But I loved all those musical styles. Ellen McElwain.
That's a name from the past.
Do I love her music? So she was the first one I ever saw heard do a Jimi Hendrix cover.
Wow.
And actually, Jimi Hendrix played with her down in Greenwich Village.
I'm going to throw one at you and see if you're up on this. Not up on this, but if it influenced you at all. Was Charo?
Oh yes, it was funny that you should
Remember
say
Charo?
that.
Amazing. I've seen her live, and forget what you see on TV.
This is divine intervention.
Go for it.
Because I had lost my phone. I found it amongst some papers and cassettes, and there was Charo. She had played the Provincetown Town Hall.
On the same wavelength here.
Yeah, and Charo was.
Did you see her?
Oh yes,
Phenomenal.
She's like a #2 of the flamenco Spanish
the flamenco,
guitar.
oh my God!
Gucci,
and
Gucci.
the showman, the showwoman, the way that she commands the audience.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the band that was behind her was just phenomenal. And you think of Charo, you think of Coochie Coochie, and you think of
do.
some of those old comedic shows. And then she'd play a couple of songs, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these artists' musical skills get lost in the cutting room floor, I think.
Yes.
Or just they got typecast into a certain role.
They
and you
did,
never
yes.
got to see them perform what they really could perform.
And this article said that she was putting all of her attention into saving animals.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just saw that just the other day. I can't believe
Tell
you
ya,
said that.
The universe was listening to us. Now we're going to, you're going to play a couple of songs. You and Brenda are going to get up there and play some songs. What are you going to be playing for us today? Got any new stuff, some covers, or what are you going to
Yeah,
be
I have
doing?
some new stuff. I'm putting together a CD, which Brenda's on a couple of cuts on that
Nice.
CD coming up. And the first one I'd like to do is a song my friend Michelle wrote the lyrics for Earth Day. It's called Earth Train.
Nice.
And I put the music to it.
Cool.
And I loved the fact that Brenda was willing to see what we can come up. So we sort of right on the spot, we'd make things happen in the moment.
Nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be in for another treat. So I want you to sit back and relax, enjoy Mr. David Jackson and Ms. Brenda Meehan.
1, 2, 3. She went upstairs to make her bed. Not a word to her mother, she said. Her mother, she went upstairs too, crying, daughter, oh daughter, what's troubling you? Oh mother dear, I cannot tell. That butcher boy I loved so well, he escorted me, my life away. Not at home, he would not stay. Her father, he came home from work. Where's my daughter? I feel her hurt. So we went upstairs to make her bed. Her father, he came home from work. Where's my daughter? I feel her hurt. So we went upstairs to give her hope. There he found her hanging by a rope. So he took his knife and he cut her down. In her bosom these words were found: go dig my grave, both wide and deep. Lay marble stone in my hands, my feet. There's a place in London town where you go and you sit right down. You take a strange girl up on your knee, tell her things that you won't tell me. Go dig my grave, both wide and deep. Lay marble stone, my hands, my feet, in the middle of my grave with the snow white dove. Tell the world I died for love. Tell the world I died for love. This one was written by my friend Jerry Lagotic for his play. His play was called Shaman in Act 2. He said, you can have the song if you make it your own, so I made a few changes, and I love it. Maurice is waiting for me on 42nd Street, hanging out with Chi-Chi in the summer heat. Says he's bringing something he knows. Take me for a ride on that ivory horse. Drop us off and leave us on the China coast. Life in New York City is a nasty scene. Heartless, mean and gritty, if you know what I mean. So Maurice is bringing something knows. Take me for a ride on that ivory horse. Some say we're just escaping, but what's wrong with a short vacation that picks us up and leaves us on the China coast? Drop us off and leave us on the China coast. All right. Chi-Chi plays the cynic, but she aims to please. Next day's the clinic with a social disease. So Maurice is bringing something knows. Take me for a ride on that ivory horse. Drop us off and leave us on the China coast. Some say we're just escaping, but what's wrong with a short vacation that picks us up and leaves us on the China coast? The modern man is riding in his cowboy dream, chasing hard and splashing to his billboard stream, looking down and laughing at the hold-on joke from high above the city on our ivory horse. Everything looks different from the China coast. Everything looks different from the China coast. China coast, Jerry Lagotic.
Wow, David.
Thank you. I'm not the greatest talker.
And Brenda, Miss Shy from not wanting to come on the air. That was awesome.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Yeah, because I always think I'm gonna lose where I am. I'm all over the place.
Well, I tell you, having there next to you, you can't help but look good and sound good, and,
yeah.
and vice versa. But
But
I always tell people, we could keep going on and on and on. We have so many mutual connections, and there is so much music to talk about.
There is, yeah.
That one of the enemies of the show is the clock.
Exactly.
So why don't you take a couple of minutes and let the people know some of the places where you play, or how they can get out and see you, or how they can contact you. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can see you.
Well, I'm usually at the Catbird, the New England Wildlife Center. Saturdays, they have an open mic.
That's a great place to go.
That's the sign up. Steve Martin is the host, and Eric the Snake Gullickson.
Formerly of
Orpheus. Yes. And so was Steve. Steve wrote some lyrics for Orpheus.
Yep.
And it's a wonderful open mic. And then Kathleen Healy runs one at O'Shea's and Rose Martin.
That was last night, Tuesday nights.
Yes.
Right.
Well, Monday she runs one. Brenda would know. Brenda, that's where I met.
Oh, there's one in O'Leary's, I believe. Or there's one down there, because Chuck from Met, you must know Chuck.
Chuck, yes.
Chuck, my good friend Chuck, he's been on the show a couple of
yes.
times. I hate to admit that,
You're right. I
for
love
ratings
Chuck.
purposes, but please
And
tell
Teresa.
him, and please tell him I said that.
I will.
Please tell him I said that.
He knows I love him and Teresa.
We love Chuck, man.
Yeah, he's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, so you play around the South Shore. Do you ever get up to the North Shore? We have viewers all over the place, and you're going to be all over YouTube
I have
and
a
Facebook.
feature in May with my friend King Yee at the Rosendale Open Mic.
King Yee.
Yes, he's a wonderful guy, big supporter of the arts.
Yes.
Does a lot of YouTubes for people.
Yes. Yeah,
And
great
so-
videographer, and takes some good pictures too. Good photos.
He does. So Rosendale Open Mic is at the Boston School of English in Rosendale.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And, I don't really go out looking for too much jobs, but if somebody calls me, I do a lot of features on Twilight Showcase Radio.
Right, you're regular with them. Sandy
Yeah.
Stride and Keith James. We got to give them a plug.
Yes, because she did a lot of work with special needs, and I worked with special needs. And before they did radio shows, I used to bring people to their, Project Arts.
Right.
I did Project Arts too.
Nice.
But Sandy and Keith, we have a history through special needs adults.
Nice. And that's what you do in the real world outside of music. And I commend you for doing that. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than helping people and seeing them smile. And I didn't know a lot about that, but our mutual friends told me what a great humanitarian and caring and loving guy that you are, and that you have devoted yourself to helping disabled kids at the Archbishop Williams Center. And I
thank
commend
you.
you for that. And I'm
Oh,
sure there are a
thanks.
lot of people at home would commend you for that as well.
Oh,
That,
thank
You're
you.
not just a musician, you're a great humanitarian.
Oh, thanks. You as well. I mean, I love to be around people who support other people. And
Well, we try.
yeah,
We try.
and Brenda does that. She takes a lot of videos, and she's willing to go wherever you need her to go to
Right.
help a cause.
Right. How can people reach you? You have a Facebook page,
I do. I have a Facebook page.
and they can find you on YouTube, of course.
Yes,
And Brenda.
and
Brenda Meehan.
That's right.
We'll put that up on the screen.
And I play with Karen Woodall sometimes. She's
Another
part
great
of the
one.
South Shore Folk Music Club.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, David, I definitely want to thank you for coming on and kicking off the 2020 year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, and go Guthries.
And go Guthries. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching today. And as always, we wouldn't be able to do this show without our esteemed directors. We have Roxanne Morse, my award-winning director, in the booth, taking care of the sound and pushing the buttons. And we have on the video, we have Laureen Kubek. And I want to thank them for their hard work. And I also want to encourage you to go out and support your local musicians. These folks go out, they play for you. Many times you can go to see them for nothing more than a beer and a pizza or a donation and a cup. So please support your local musicians. So for my guest, Mr. David Jackson, Miss Brenda Meehan, and everyone here at SMAC, I am Frank Walsh. As always, tune in and tune on.